You're listening to Experience Imagination, a themed entertainment design podcast presented by Falcon's Creative Group. Every episode, we discuss a new topic with a panel of creative professionals. Hi, I'm Cecil McPurry, Chief Executive Officer of Falcons.
Welcome, listeners. Happy to have you back for another installment of Experience Imagination. I'm Audrey DeLong. Another highly successful and really busy IAAPA Expo recently wrapped at the Orange County Convention Center in Orlando, Florida. A few numbers from this year's event. More than 36,000 people attended and 1,147 companies exhibited. 550,000 square feet of space was needed to hold all of those exhibitors. I feel bad for the ones who were outside because it was a very wet week. One exhibiting group was Themed Entertainment Association, better known as TEA. They were right next to the Falcons Creative Group booth, so that was nice. We've talked to TEA in the past for the podcast, but we really wanted to do a whole episode about them because there's a lot to discuss. My upcoming guests are TEA's president, Melissa Oviedo, and its secretary of the International Board, Evi Sari. Before we jump into our conversation with them, how about some background? The Themed Entertainment Association is an international nonprofit alliance that was founded in 1991. They bring together the creators of immersive destinations and experiences to share knowledge, collaborate, spark new ideas, celebrate innovation, of course, and cultivate a diverse global membership. TEA hosts all kinds of events throughout the year, including their own big trade show, conventions, mixers, roundtable discussions, and of course the annual THEA Awards Gala. Winning a THEA Award, by the way, that's the equivalent of winning an Oscar in the themed entertainment industry, so it's a huge deal. Falcons has been fortunate enough to have earned 4 THEA Awards for outstanding achievement. TEA currently has around 1,600 members made up of businesses, next-gen members, and individuals. We'll get into some of the benefits with our guests. And so, all right, it's time to hear from Melissa and Evi. And keep in mind, this interview was conducted on the floor of the IAAPA Expo. Enjoy it, everyone. All right, so back in 2021, we released an IAAPA-focused podcast episode where I interviewed several people on the floor of the event, including you, Melissa, who at the time was TEA's president-elect. So it's good to see you again.
Oh, it's good to see you as well.
So you and Matt Barton, he was TEA's international board secretary back then, and now vice president, correct, of TEA?
Vice president and president-elect.
And president-elect,
yes,
exactly. Yeah. Good point to make. Both of you touched on the association's efforts to grow the Middle East and the Europe division, and also the Asia-Pacific divisions. Before we listen to that clip, I also wanted to introduce our second guest in this segment, Evi Sari, who's the new secretary of the International Board. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
So both of you can answer this question, but first we're going to go to that clip.
We were able to just launch our WFI, formally establishing the WFI in Shanghai, China in July. And has been working to really get that operational, the entity operational and going. With that key infrastructure in place, we can now have new staff that is working with TEA members in China to really start actively engaging people and sponsors in that region, which has never been done before. So we're very, very excited about what's happening in China.
Yeah, and in the Middle East, I was president of the European division for 3 years. And we officially are called EME, so European and Middle East. And the Middle East region has so much potential, but we weren't really tapping it as much as we'd like. There's complexities in running events in various countries. So we launched a task force to really look into how do we overcome those complexities so we can be a bit more active out there. There's so much opportunity, so many enthusiastic members that really want to see more TEA events over there. So the task force have really kind of come back with a lot of information about what it is, what we need to do, the partnerships we need to create to really operate in that region. So we're going to see that coming out over next year as well.
All right, so anytime I hear the words task force, I think now we're talking. It just sounds special, right? It's serious business when you say that. So give us an update on that front. How are things moving along in China and the Asia-Pacific division, and also in Europe and the Middle East? Evi.
For Asia Pacific, specifically in China, we understood that we needed a very dedicated team to understand what the members globally want, especially members in North America, and what are the opportunities and what are the talent or what are the trends that we can see for the new markets in Asia Pacific, and being able to adapt it boots on the ground in China and Asia Pacific. So that was like the macro understanding of how the task force came to be. And so I think from Asia Pacific and China, the specific idea is to really grow the market and grow the membership and get the TA outreach out into that world. So that was our way of, I guess, localization, global mindset, understanding what a TA program and values are that have been proven for so many years, and then taking that best practices, but also creating bridges of conversation from Asia Pacific and China back to like where our global members are.
Yeah, and then earlier this year, some of our executive committee and leadership team from TEA had the opportunity to actually go to China and visit some of our global partners and global sponsors. So on behalf of the Chemelong Group, who is going through significant development with their theme park products and opening up their spaceship park, invited the delegation to come out there. We got to go and visit Disney Hong Kong and see the great work that they're doing on their Frozen expansion. Get to go to Chemelong and visit all of their parks, and then also visit with Universal Beijing. We really wanted to bring visibility to the rest of our members that, hey, China's open, and China really offers our members some great opportunities and value to still do business and to continue doing business in that region of the world. So also on that trip, we talked a little bit about the Middle East. We had the opportunity to do a short layover over in Abu Dhabi and Dubai and get to see SeaWorld Abu Dhabi and offer our support as an association to the groups there as well. So they are all tasked with delivering really ambitious goals, and where the TEA can really impact those goals and offer some solutions was really exciting for us.
And I'd like to add on that I think the importance and value of the biggest benefits of being in the TEA is that you get access, right? For example, when we went to Chemelong, we saw so many projects there in the pipeline 5-6 years from now that are amazing in terms of scale and ambition and reach, and you will have not known then otherwise if we went and not talked to the leadership there, on the team, on the boots on the ground, on their needs for international vendor support, for example. And that's the kind of relationships and opportunities that you only understand by visiting our local members. And that's also a really big part of what the TA is trying to do.
Melissa, also in that 2021 interview with you and Matt actually mentioned changing the way you were going to manage the organization, TEA. How have things progressed?
Yeah, since 2021, we've brought in our executive director, Lindsay Nelson. She's been with us just about 2.5 years now. We are really looking at now evolving our team and our staff and really strategically aligning our team resources to the needs of our industry. So we just hired and brought in a new industry relationships and partnerships director, Chloe Hausfeld, and then we're continuing to grow the bench of the organization, really looking at the right people on the bus and in the right seats. That's really, really critical to us. So realigning how we're looking at committees, how we're looking at volunteer leadership, and how we're looking at the structure of our programs. How do we evolve? And where's our industry taking us? And then how does our staff structure and our volunteer leadership structures align to those types of goals?
I mentioned in the intro, TEA NextGen makes up a part of the membership. Tell us about them.
Oh, our NextGen program is truly exceptional. Now, I will say it's exceptional that the North America universities have really brought in an incredibly diverse curriculum-based learning where we now have themed entertainment, themed construction, master planning as actual curriculum and bachelor degrees and master degrees that you can get. I will also say that in Europe and Asia, this is developing still. We still don't have that strong push of that university structure is very different. I'll let Evi talk a little bit about what that looks like in Asia Pacific. But now we're looking at the next gen. How do we reach students earlier in their educational careers? How do we go into high schools or middle schools and educate them on the value of this industry, the types of career paths that are open for them, not just expensive architecture schools or design schools, but welders and carpenters and scenic painters and artists and that creative industry that drives so many of us. We need to be, as an industry, looking even earlier before they're in college and they know what they want to do. We need to catch them when they're still in those developing moments to say, hey, you could also build really cool things alongside of us.
I think in Asia Pacific, I mean, in our industry here in the US and also in the West, it's almost accepted that everyone comes from a different industry. No one comes from the theme park industry. Went to school in theater, in architecture. I went to school for architecture, for example. But in Asia, there's not even a clear pathway of what everyone chances on the industry almost by accident. And then they kind of learn their way up to it. It's not even something that's recognized. So we are a long ways to go when it comes to that educational or career pathway. I think what's really inspiring for me was that when we did the Inspire Summit earlier this year, I had a lot of Asian foreign students come to me and tell me how inspired they are, that they didn't even know this is an industry. And a lot of them are not even from the theme park industry, because even the theme park industry or the programs here are still quite limited. So they come from animation, they come from gaming, they come from architecture, they attend the TA Inspire, and they're like, oh, I want to be in this industry. And some of the students are from Asia, from China, and then they learn that like this is something that they can aspire to. And then they're almost like ambassadors that when they go back or they tell their friends about this is the path to be, we've kind of planted a seed. And so right now, we're probably in like phase 0 of trying to build that kind of academic clarity or pathway into Asia Pacific. But it's good that we have that beginning. And there are a lot of foreign students that study architecture, they study all kinds of theater. And when they go back to their respective countries, they bring that knowledge with them.
Yeah, it's good to catch them in high school before they think about which college they're going to apply to, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever possible.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the latest SATE North America event. That took place in Kansas City, Missouri in mid-October. So first of all, tell our listeners what SATE stands for and give us the lowdown on what happens there.
Yeah, so SATE stands for Storytelling plus Architecture plus Technology equals Experience. So it's all about how do you connect those aspects, those key pillars that will ultimately create an impactful guest experience. And how do you tell those stories in meaningful ways? What's innovative? What's new? There was a lot of discussion on AI this year. Last year was the meta. This year was all about AI. And there's varying opinions on the future of AI or the benefits or the conflicts with it. It's just a great way to really gather everybody together and dive deeply into how do you get stuff done? How do you leverage the community? How do you leverage expertise from your other collaborators? And so just a great program. And we do these SATE programs all over the world. So there's a SATE Europe, there's a SATE North America, and coming back in 2024 is going to be SATE Asia. And what's really important to understand is that we're looking at globally, how does those pillars of storytelling, architecture, technology equal into experience, but then also extremely regionally based stories. So it was just a great event. We had 250 attendees come, so we very proud, and we can't wait to announce where 2024 is going to be next.
Oh, nice. Okay, and do you have to be a TEA member to attend?
You do not have to be a TA member to attend. You also don't have to be a TA member to speak. So this is another opportunity for members or potential members to really get engaged. The TEA is about what you put into it and what you're looking to drive from it. So great opportunity to put in a session, talk about content that you're passionate about, build a panel of collaborators, let your voices be heard, because this is the audience that's really thirsty for that type of knowledge.
Absolutely. So I want to actually talk about why somebody should join TEA. Obviously, I've heard all about it just in this interview, but what do you tell them?
This is really the community that connects the storytellers, the creators, the builders, the executors of these projects together as a collective. This is the community that you belong within. And it really is about networking. It's about your connections. I use this analogy quite often. You want to do work with the people you enjoy. You want to work alongside those that you trust, that truly collaborate. So when things get hard, and every project gets hard, every project has its challenges, you can sit across the table and say, we can figure this out. everybody has the same end goal, and that's really to deliver excellence and to create an experience that's impactful to the guests. This is the community that you want to work alongside of, and then you want to share a meal with. It's also an association that brings very diverse talent together. So as everybody's looking at how they expand and how they continue to grow their portfolios, grow their teams, grow the types of reach that they have, finding that diverse workforce is truly important and a huge benefit of the TEA.
I just want to add that, like, why join a TA? I mean, we are really very much driven by our volunteers, our members, and there's a lot of dedication that really is not recognized. And so that's very inspiring, that you get to be that part of a community that is really working, planting trees, and we might not necessarily reap from it immediately, but this is, I think, very valuable and not very much often seen, especially in Asia, where sometimes associations or industry associations can be more commercial driven, and obviously we want to be sustainable financially, but I think it's so much more bigger than that for the TEA.
Yeah, it's really, if you want change, be change.
Yeah.
And that's really the mantra that a lot of our volunteer leadership has, is we see the possibilities of this industry as it continues to expand and the impact that it could have. And that's why all of us dedicate so much time and effort and energy, and the passion of our members is exceptional. They care, they really care. And that is really what drives you to say, okay, what are we doing, and how can we be better, and how can we be stronger as an association and as a collective?
Yeah, I like Evi's analogy about planting the tree. That's very nicely said. I think it would interest our listeners to learn more about the THEA Awards. So let's talk about that. How are they judged? What are people looking for when they're doling out those awards on a yearly basis?
So truly it's the definition of excellence. That is the key pillar for the THEA's committee. So the THEA's committee is comprised of really members at large, individuals that are very diverse in their perspective and their reach globally. They accept submissions in that owner or operators or vendors may submit, but then they also scout. They go and look for those attractions or experiences that maybe no one's heard of. Nobody's seen it before, and somebody sees something and says, wow, you guys should really be paying attention to what they're doing over here. Let's evaluate something like this. So the cornerstone is excellence.
I think this year's slate of winners, you can really see that, like, there are projects that no one has really heard of outside of the Western world, and that's very inspirational because you don't have to be a TA member to be able to win the entry, but a lot of it is members going out there and giving that sort of opportunity to the local stars, to get international industry recognition. And so I remember, like, one of the immersive dining experiences that we went to in Singapore was because one of the committee members went to see it and he was amazed by it and he nominated. And even they, the local owners, were very astonished that they can get this international recognition. And so that's something that I think is very exciting for the TA to lean into.
Well, and we just announced our slate of recipients for the 30th annual THEAs last night at the TEA International Mixer, and we're very proud to say that 80% of the slate is from regions outside of North America.
Wow.
Which is pretty incredible, and that just shows that the type of global diversity, and we really are celebrating that as we go into our 30th anniversary.
That sounds like a high number. Do you think that's probably the highest it's ever been?
It is by far the highest it's ever been. And the diversity of the recipients has been incredible. We have an immersive mall experience. We have live spectaculars. We have experiences that have been reimagined, brand centers and brand experiences, retail experiences that are being recognized. So we're saying, no, this is the experience industry as well as the entertainment industry. And we're so much broader and more diverse than I think people even realize that we are.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I think we are aware that the lines are blurring between the different attractions, and we see it. We're very conscious of it, and we actually ruminate on what this can be, and we give the credit that it does, but we welcome them into our bigger experience industry. So this year, I think we're very proud of the winners.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, Melissa. I mean, how long have you been the president of TEA?
So my term started January 1st of 2023, and I'll go until the end of December in 2024. So.
Oh, wow. Okay, so 2-year reign,
2-year
right?
reign, yeah.
Okay. I hate to use the word reign, but,
yeah.
2 years at the helm. What do you think the future of the association holds?
More growth, more diversification. I think you're going to see more interaction for a developing workforce. I think you're going to see more technology coming even into play. I think you're going to see the blurring of lines of gaming and e-gaming. I think you're going to see brands and licensing opportunities that are new and different. Because as you're seeing brands realize that they can exist outside of just a digital or media world, but in a physical world where a guest can interact with it, is going to be important. I also think regional-based, location-based entertainment, bringing the entertainment to where people truly work and live, and people really want to be immersed with innovative stories. They want to hear more, they want to see something different. And they want to be able to connect with each other. So I see the TEA needing to expand and really to make sure that we're capturing those perspectives, both in our membership and then in our volunteer leadership.
Right. Evi, how about you?
Brands are going to break down the barriers. And so, for example, licensing shows, licensing association saw last year, I think there was a 67% increase in LBE licensing. Every single brand wants to be an experience rather than a product. And that is going to make this landscape so much more diverse and so much more unique. And because it's going to be one big play area for even newcomers who want to be in an experience world. And the second thing is that as we get more diverse, as we get more technology, I think the basics of what we talked about, the values of storytelling, what it means to people, and people. Those two will always stay the same. And that's why the importance of the TA will always be there, because technology is only a tool to serve what humanity means. And that's why storytelling and people are always going to be important. And the value of the TA will actually continue to shine as we get diverse, because we need these anchors to remind us of what we are, essentially, as an industry or as people, as a group of people with common interests and passions. And so I think that lines are getting blurred. Brands will even be coming into the space, consumer brands and not just entertainment. We will see experiences that we've not seen before. There will be an experience, gaming, and then the other thing is that like the TA's function of reminding us of the importance of what's universal.
If somebody's interested in being a member, what should they do?
Well, really visit the website is your first pass. So the www.teaconnect.org. And you can click on membership and really understand a bit more of the value and the different options that are available to you. And then I would also say go onto that website and click on events and event calendar and see some of the programming that is coming out and the opportunities for you to connect not only in your geographic regions where you live now, but in also some of our larger programming that we have on a global level with SATES and Inspire.
I would recommend you to talk to a member. Talk to different members. You can talk to an educator. You can talk to a theme park operator. You can talk to a business like developer, and then you can understand how is it, how does it impact them, and why they want to be, and why is it relevant. I think that's also a good way to understand more about what the membership can bring you.
Yeah, both of you gave great advice, and I love the stories, and I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, that will do it for this episode. I want to once again thank Melissa Oviedo and Evi Sari for being so gracious with their time during the trade show. And thank you, listeners. We appreciate you, and we hope you come back for the next episode.
Thank you for listening to Experience Imagination, a Falcons Creative Group production. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast and share with your friends. To keep up with our latest news, visit us on the web at falconscreativegroup.com and follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas for future episodes, please email us at podcast@falconscreativegroup.com.